From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV.
A lovely morning to you. We are sorry for starting behind schedule. Day in the dailies on 24 News Radio and Television. So on this day, we are going to take a few headlines, some stories that made the headlines from some national newspapers and some foreign newspapers as well. From the Punch, we have marketers warn against disruption as Dangote plans direct fuel supply. Tinubu approves tenure extension for customs CG. Dino Melai resigns from PDP, cites party's lack of potency. U.S. opera legend Robert Wilson dies at 83. And this one says FG directs FNBN to partner state governors on affordable housing project. These and more stories will come your way in the course of this review. Stay with us.
From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV.
Yes, beginning with the first story, marketers warn against disruption as Dangote plans direct fuel supply. The Natural Oil and Gas Suppliers Association of Nigeria has warned that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery plan to bypass existing distribution channels and supply refined petroleum products directly to end users would lead to a nationwide disruption, long-term product scarcity, and the collapse of existing supply networks. The oil and gas suppliers called on the refinery to halt its plan and seek further dialogue before commencing the distribution of products to end users, urging it to learn from what happened to non-management of the Nigerian Petroleum Company Limited. They also called on President Bola Tinubu to intervene in the issue. Report on this, the Punch newspaper is your guide. And still coming from the Punch, FG begins reconstruction of collapsed Nasarawa flyover. The federal government has begun reconstruction of the collapsed Kefi flyover in Nasarawa State while accelerating the major road works across the country. Minister of Works, Mr. David Umai, disclosed this after Thursday's Federal Executive Council. The point: Tinubu approves tenure extension. President Bola Tinubu has approved a one-year extension of the tenure of the Controller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Adewale Adeniyi, whose tenure was initially set to expire on August 31st, will now remain in office until August 2026. For the full report on that, the Punch newspaper guide. And this one says, Dino resigns from PDP, cites party's lack of potency. Former Senator representing Kogi West, Dino Melai, has formally resigned from the People's Democratic Party, citing the party's inability to provide credible leadership and deliver good governance to Nigerians. In a resignation letter shared on his official X account on Thursday, the former senator announced his immediate withdrawal from all party activities. And for the full report, the Punch is still your guide. And heading over to the Vanguard. Strike. FG approves policy to regulate trade unions' activities. In a bid to curtail incessant industrial actions by trade unions, the federal government has approved the National Industrial Relations Policy NIRP 2025 to check strikes. This came, said the contentious circular that precipitated a recent strike by health workers has been withdrawn. Meanwhile, the government will meet with the striking nurses today. For the full report on that, the Vanguard is your guide. Use your visa responsibly. NOAA wants Nigerians traveling abroad. The National Orientation Agency NOAA, especially to the youth, to exercise responsibility in using their visas. NOAA Director General Malam Lanre Issa Nilu from misusing U.S. visas and avoid engagements beyond the purpose or classification of their travel document. For the full report, the Vanguard newspaper is your guide. And heading over to the Nigerian Tribune. Tinubu challenges governors to drive reform gains to grassroots. President Bola Tinubu on Thursday urged state governors to deepen collaborations with the federal government to ensure that the economic reforms currently into tangible benefit for Nigerians at the grassroots level. This charge was the highlight of the deliberations at the National Economic Council NEC meeting held at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, and presided over by Vice President Kashim Shettima. For more on that report, the Nigerian Tribune is your guide. And heading over to the Daily Post. 2027, Peter Obi not threat to Tinubu, ex-Ekiti Deputy Governor Olujimi. Former Deputy Governor of Ekiti State, Biodun Olujimi, has said the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, is not a threat to the second term of President Bola Tinubu. She stated Obi's eloquence, which played a major role in his performance in the 2023 presidential election, would not work again in the forthcoming 2027 general elections. Olujimi made the statement on Thursday when she appeared as a guest on Politics, a program on Channels Television. For the full report, the Daily Post is your guide. And coming from the Daily Post, Nigerian troops neutralize cause of terrorists, arrest suspects in nationwide operations. The Nigerian Army says its troops neutralized cause of terrorists, apprehended 15 suspects, and recovered arms and military kits in ongoing operations across theaters of operation nationwide. A credible source at the Army headquarters told the news agency of Nigeria that troops had sustained an onslaught against terrorists and other criminal elements across the country. For the full report, the Daily Post is your guide. And from the Daily Times, oil marketers warn Dangote against bypassing distribution chain, cites risk of scarcity. Okay, this story also made its way to the Punch newspaper. So for the full report, the Daily Times or the Punch newspaper is your guide. And it says, man urges manufacturers to embrace alternative funding amid soaring lending rate. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, Ogun State Branch, has advised manufacturers to explore alternative funding sources as high interest rates and macroeconomic pressures strain access to credit. The chairman of the Ogun chapter of MAN gave the advice at the association's 40th annual in Abeokuta. For the full report on that, the Daily Times is your guide. And still coming from the Daily Times, pension assets hit 24.63 trillion naira in June. Domestic stocks, FGN bonds drive growth. Nigeria's pension fund assets rose to 24.63 trillion naira in June 2025, reflecting continued investor confidence and strategic shift in portfolio allocation, according to the National Pension Commission (PENCOM). The figures represent a 2.17% increase from 20.11 trillion naira in May and a year-on-year growth of 20.24%. For the full report, the Daily Times is your guide. And this one says, Army Chief seeks special funds as 13,000 recruits face housing crisis. Olufemi Oluyede, Chief of Army Staff, has called for special funding for the Nigerian Army, citing rising operational demand and the lack of adequate welfare provision for personnel. Oluyede made the appeal on Thursday during a visit by the Senate Committee on Army to the Army headquarters in Abuja. For the full report, the Daily Times newspaper is your guide. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll take some stories from the foreign scene and the world of sport.
From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV.
Yes, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today in the Dailies on 24 News Radio and Television. Now, stories from the foreign scene. This one says, U.S. opera legend Robert Wilson dies at 83. Celebrated U.S. director Robert Wilson, who revolutionized stage and opera, died yesterday at the age of 83. Robert Wilson died peacefully yesterday, according to the report, at the age of 83 after a brief but acute illness. It said he worked right up until the end. For the full report on that, the Punch newspaper is your guide. U.S. opera legend Robert Wilson dies at 83. And this one says, Russia's action in Ukraine disgusting, says Trump. U.S. President Donald Trump threatened fresh sanctions Thursday while slamming Russia's military actions in Ukraine as disgusting, as strikes on Kyiv killed at least 16 people. For the full report on that, the Vanguard newspaper is your guide. And this from the world of sports. AfroBasket 2025, the Tigress crushed Cameroon 83-40 to 47 points, set up semi-final clash with Senegal. African champions Nigeria, the Tigress, have advanced into the semi-finals of the 2025 FIBA Women's AfroBasket with a crushing 83-point to 47-point victory over Cameroon on Thursday night in Abidjan. The six-time and defending champions will now meet Senegal in the next stage of the competition. And that's the much you can take on the newspaper review today on 24 News Radio and Television. Do stay tuned for more programs to be coming your way in the course of the day. My name is Grace Wanfo. Do have a lovely Friday.
From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu, Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24